They say sequels are never as good as the original. Well, Impeachment 2, the sequel, is just, if not more, stupid than Impeachment 1 ever was. We in America are preparing to impeach a president of the United States after he is no longer president of the United States. Our children will read some version of this, whichever version our overlords allow us to read, and we'll spoon feed this garbage and nonsense to our kids someday. We'll let the record state, this is not democracy. This is not the workings of a constitutional republic. This is not anything that would happen in a healthy country. We're going to talk all about it. This is the Modern Monologue. So, they're going ahead and impeaching the president today, most likely here, for his work with creating an insurrection on the Capitol riots. Now, this is completely and wholeheartedly insane for multiple reasons. First of all, how can you impeach a president when he's no longer president? The Eric Swalwell, who today was appointed by Nancy Pelosi to be the head of the impeachment task force. Eric Swalwell, you may remember him. He's most known for farting on TV right after he was done being a fake presidential candidate. Yes, he ran for president for about 5 minutes. He was the first to drop out before any votes were cast. And then on TV, he farted on national TV, on the news. He was being interviewed, and he broke away. Now, he denies doing so, but we all know what happens. Whoever denied it definitely applied it. What else is Eric Swalwell applying? Well, he was implying that Trump was a Russian asset while he was working on impeachment. When the rest of us could be getting ready for a pandemic that took 300,000 lives, Eric Swalwell and the Democrats were working on impeaching the president over a Ukrainian phone call. A phone call to the Ukrainian president where he was looking to investigate crimes committed by a quote-unquote political rival. So I guess if your political rival commits a crime, you're not allowed to investigate. Shut up. There's nothing to see here. Now, Swalwell was saying that Trump was a Russian agent working on the behalf of Russia, Russian hoax, peddling that misinformation. Not only did Eric Swalwell lie under oath, he also was compromised. What am I talking about? Well, if you haven't heard, you must have been listening to the right sources to hear this information. Eric Swalwell, who led the charge, Trump's a Russian agent, Trump's a Russian agent, Trump's a Russian agent, we must throw him out of power. He's working on behalf of Russia. Well, Swalwell's girlfriend is a confirmed Chinese spy. Yes. Fang Fang. If that doesn't sound like a fake name, I don't know what is. And I don't know what you saw in Mr. Swalwell. I heard she said his name was actually Smallwell. But that is neither confirmed nor denied. So he's pushing that Trump's a Russian spy, meanwhile he's sleeping with a Chinese spy. Much to the chagrin of his wife, of course. So now he's back in charge again. Even though this information came out, Nancy Pelosi knows about it, and she promoted him again to be the head of Impeachment 2. Now, no president has ever been impeached twice. And now the Senate has already said they're not going to have the trial until after Biden is sworn in as president. So what kind of sense does that make? Well, of course, they want to make sure Trump can't come back and run again. Isn't that up to the will of the people? If the people want to elect a horrible hate monger, isn't that their right? Not the right of some congressional buffoons to make the decision. Ben Shapiro had a comment, had a quote. I'm going to read it for you. It was quite interesting, and I completely agree with it. He said, and I quote, "Trump is the coroner, not the murderer." What does that mean? Trump did not create chaos. Trump did not create corruption. Trump revealed corruption. He brought it to light. That's what happened. If you mean to tell me that there was no corruption in the United States government until Trump became president, I got some oceanfront property in Kansas to tell you. He revealed the corruption. You mean to tell me there was no election fraud? I'm going to ask you if you're referring to just this election. Because there's been election fraud for hundreds of years. Confirmed cases. John F. Kennedy, for instance, was marred in election fraud after the fact it came out. So impeachment 2, here we are. We're going to impeach the president when he's no longer president. The whole point of impeaching the president is to remove him from power. He's already not going to be in power. Congress said that they are going to try to pass a resolution to compel the vice president to hold a hearing on the 20th Amendment because Trump is wholly unfit to be president. That, of course, is not the case for Joe Biden. Can't remember what state he's in. Can't remember when he became vice president. Broke his foot chasing his dog like a mental patient. But he is of sound mind to be president, they think. The 20th Amendment was supposed to be used if a president has a heart attack and is in the hospital. If a president is attempted assassination and he survives, or has a complete mental breakdown, or has a stroke of some kind, and is no longer mentally fit or physically fit to be president, can't discharge his duties. Not because you don't like somebody. If you're trying to understand that this is all a game to these people, you're correct. Nobody should have stormed the Capitol building. That was wrong, and always will be. What's fair is fair. When an entire city block, or multiple city blocks, are taken over by anarchists in Seattle for the entire summer, and people are getting killed and shot, but it's a summer of love. It's like a giant street festival. Okay. Sure. When Josh Hawley's family is threatened, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, he said he was going to contest the election results. So there's things that we should look at. We should investigate some of these discrepancies. An angry mob went to his home. He wasn't there, but his wife and newborn child were. And they threatened the life of his wife and unborn child. Where's the condemning of that? Or is it okay because he's a Republican? It's only not okay if a Republican does something to a Democrat. You can shoot a Trump supporter in the head during a BLM rally and then celebrate it that you killed a Nazi today. And nobody goes to jail. We're going to unify, Joe Biden said. Unify around what? Listen to what we say or else? You don't have an opinion? You can't have a take? You can't disagree? That's unification of thought. That's not unification. Maybe Joe Biden should use a dictionary. So here we are. We're going to impeach the president again after he's no longer president because he was stormed the Capitol building. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris, the soon-to-be vice president, was promising to bail out people who are burning and looting businesses the entire summer in the name of social justice. So, committing a crime of burning down and looting and stealing from people is okay as long as it's done in the name of social justice. So next time I need a new pair of shoes, I'm just going to take them in the name of social justice. And then maybe the vice president will pay my back. That is where we are. The president, by the way, you're saying the president incited this insurrection. I need to ask you to go back and listen to his speech. I guarantee nobody listened to the speech. Everybody who was there, who I've heard speak, said there was no call to action at the end of the speech. So usually if you incite something, you have to have a call to action. Not in this case, apparently. The most secure building in the world. White House, Capitol building, two of the most secure buildings in the world. You look at the Washington Monument wrong, and you can be shot. You can walk in the Capitol building. Outrageous. If you want to say that the people don't have a voice, and that's why they're doing this because they're crazy, they're fringe. Trump's pushing conspiracy theories, and that's why people are acting this way. He didn't incite it, or as it was Swalwell today, yes. Swalwell said, Trump may have not have committed his crime, may not have gone to the Capitol building himself to start the insurrection, but also Osama bin Laden didn't come to the U.S. soil when he orchestrated 9/11. So now, Trump is not only Hitler, he's also Osama bin Laden. Got it. Say hi to your honeypot, Mr. Swalwell. You have zero leg to stand on, Mr. Smallwell. So, no call to action, did nothing actually there himself, and has condemned the violence. It's just been removed from all social media platforms, because if you have dissenting opinion, you get removed. And nowhere, and let me also add this. They're saying, well, he's pushing conspiracy theories, and people believe them, so they wanted to act back against the government, because the government's lying to them. According to Trump, the government's lying to them. Guess what? The government's been lying to us forever. This is nothing new. Again, Trump is not the murderer, Trump is a coroner. He diagnosed what killed the democracy in this country. He diagnosed all that. He didn't do it himself. He didn't create it. So, what's next? Well, they're going to move to impeach the president for giving a speech in Washington, and then people went and stormed the Capitol building. Now, according to FBI reports, whether this is true or not is up for debate. The FBI has been nothing but unreliable for quite some time. But they said that they had information that this storming of the Capitol building was going to happen. And they've had this information for a while. They asked Muriel Bowser, yes, the Mario villain, Muriel Bowser, that Bowser, for more support of the Capitol Police. The Capitol Police needed more support to contend with these potential insurrections, riots, protests, what are we going to call them? It was in the name of social justice, by the way. Chris Cuomo said, riots do not need to protest, do not need to be peaceful. It was in the name of social justice. Rioting is okay. It was in the name of social justice. But if a right-wing person does it, it's wrong. So here we are. Here's where we are. Social justice is okay, but talking about the government lying to you is not. You want unity, here's a great way to unify. Prove that the election wasn't stolen. Yes, there's plenty of conspiracy theories floating. There are conspiracy theories floating everywhere. Birds aren't real. Breatharians are going to take over the world. Aliens landed, and they're amongst us right now. That one may be true. Way people act today, that one may be true. But when people are told there's no evidence of fraud, no evidence of election tampering, and then they see with their own eyes that there was. Suitcases of ballots being pulled out and run through. Vote logs, count sheets, disappearing. Rules of the election being changed without legislative approval, which is in Article 2 of the Constitution. Elections are coordinated by legislatures, not by the Supreme Court of the state, and not by the governor of the state. Ballot harvesting. When Stacey Abrams admitted to harvesting over 1,000 ballots, over 100,000 ballots, thousands of ballots. She admitted to harvesting them, and in Georgia, that's illegal. That's against the law. But who's going to rule against her when the person appointed to her case was her sister? This stuff doesn't even happen in Cambodia. The third world chuckles at the banana republic America has become. You take away people's rights to put food on their table, to go to work, to say what they believe, even if it's crazy, to post something on social media, to disagree with the narrative, at risk of losing their job, their home, their family, because they went to a rally. Now they're being banned from flying on an airplane ever again, with no evidence that they had anything to do with the riot. None. Because if you're one of the 75 million people who voted for the president, most of any incumbent president of all time, by the way, you're being banned from social media, from people getting their bank accounts closed, people are getting banned from flights, they had no fly lists. For what? Do you think the election was erroneous? Do you think that when you went to bed, a candidate was up by a certain amount, and there was 98% reporting, and then you woke up, and all of a sudden there's hundreds of thousands of votes that just showed up overnight? There's eyewitness testimony, there's signed affidavits, all of those, well, there's no evidence of fraud. There's no evidence of corruption. There's nothing to see here. We're telling people to shut up and accept what we did. Shut up and don't ask questions. And then people ask questions, and they're called conspiracy theory. Well, 75 million people can't all be conspiracy theories. Michael Moore said we need to put Trump supporters in concentration camps and re-education camps. So it's nothing like this can never happen again. What do you mean? A populist? You can't run somebody who's not really Republican or Democrat? Or not Democrat? So impeaching the president because the will of the people is being ignored, or at least 75 million people were being ignored when they had legitimate questions. Joe Biden wants to unify the country. Start by opening up everything. Declassifying everything. What happened in the election? Answer the question, Joe. What's the harm? Why not investigate? Why not tell everybody, see, nothing's going on here. Everything's up front. Everything's on the table. Here's all the cards. Nothing happened. Shut them up. What's the harm in that? Why don't you want to do that, Joe? Why not? What's the harm? Why don't you have an investigation? Why don't you talk about your son Hunter and the money he received from China? Oh, that was a fake story, remember? When they said it was a fake story and they wouldn't let the Washington Post use their Twitter account? And Kayleigh McEnany, the press secretary, couldn't use her Twitter account? They were talking about that? Oh, now it's a real story. It actually was a real story back then, too. But now that Biden's clear, you can talk about it. You're not going to have unity or peace unless you start telling the truth. And if Trump's lying, there was no fraud, and everything you're seeing is a conspiracy theory and it's fake. Don't believe your eyes or your own intuition. Something doesn't smell right. The anomalies that Joe Biden did worse than the previous Democrats who ran the last two elections, except in the biggest cities in the states that needed to win. How shocking. How ridiculous. But you don't have to question that. Questioning will get you nowhere. You have to go with the status quo. You have to believe what you're told, or else. I said it before, I'll say it again. Violence is not the answer. Insurrection is not the answer. Revolution is not the answer. Truth and honesty is the answer. You have to be honest. And when people have questions, even if you think they're crazy questions, answer them. Appease them. Are you a president of all people, Joe, or just ones who voted for you? You said to be president for all the people. But answer the questions of people who disagree with you, who think you lied, who think you stole the election. Answer their question. That's the only way you're going to have peace. If enough people think you're lying and think you're an illegitimate president, we did a 3-year investigation because people thought Trump was an illegitimate president. They were proven wrong. So, prove everybody else wrong. Open up everything. Expose everything. Let us see for ourselves. The media's not going to ask you questions. Big tech's going to cover for you. Hiding from the truth or from conspiracy theories is not the way to unify anybody. Because when half the country thinks one way, the other thinks the other way. The only way to bring them together is to meet in the middle and be honest with transparency. Why won't you do that? If you have nothing to hide, why not open up? Why not show us everything? Why not let us be proven wrong and be proven to be fooled? Unless, of course, you have something to hide. When people's rights are taken away for months, the businesses are closed. They have nothing to go home to anymore. Because you've been locking them down. 15 days to flatten the curve is now a year to flatten the curve. Where I'm from, there's businesses that are closed permanently, also closed because of COVID. Because you gotta flatten the curve from Christmas and Thanksgiving. There were no spikes. What spike? Seasonal flu spikes. That's what we had. And 92% of people who contracted COVID wore masks all the time. Every time they left their home, they wore a mask every time. So how'd they get it? Oh, if it's not a non-mask wearing person? If the mask protected them, why is it matter? You can't say, I'm doing it my way, and you can't ask me questions about anything, questions that affect your life. You can't ask me questions about things that I'm doing that affect your life. You have to shut up and do it. Shut up and listen. Do what I say. Do as I say. And expect people not to push back. The violence at the Capitol was wrong. But impeaching the president over it and doubling and tripling down on your policies that created this are not going to solve that problem. It's not going to make things better. It's not going to unify. It's only going to make it worse. Impeaching the president again for the second time, the first president ever impeached twice, is not going to unify the country. It's to show you've learned nothing, and it's going to radicalize more people. That's all I have for now. Be sure to check back next time. You can subscribe. You can email me directly at pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Our Facebook page, facebook.com/pavementroadproductions, while we still have a Facebook page. And I'll be getting more out soon. More content for you very soon. Let me know what you think. Comment and share this post. And also, like our YouTube channel at Pavement Productions and on YouTube as well. A lot more to come. A lot more ahead. Like questions about who a lowly conservative can trust these days. Who's on our side? Who's against us? The difference between the right wing and the left wing. And some thoughts on Antifa. That idea, quote unquote, known as Antifa. Much more ahead in the days and weeks to come. Until next time, thanks for listening, and take care.